Hi there, it's Matt here and welcome back to the show. Today we're going to do something a little bit different relative to what we've spoken about in the past. Many of us perhaps think of deep non-REM sleep as the stage that is dedicated to our body for restoration and repair, whilst REM sleep, on the other hand, with its fervent and active brain activity, is often seen as the sole beneficial for the mind. But is that really true? Is REM sleep, dream sleep, only for your brain and not for your body? Well, in today's episode, I'm going to challenge that notion. And I hope I'm able to reveal what is the remarkable truth, the honest story of REM sleep, which is that REM sleep is absolutely and richly necessary for nearly all of our body functions. And today we're going to explore how REM sleep, far from being just a brain-centric phenomenon, plays a vital and in fact multifaceted role in maintaining and enhancing nearly every aspect of physical well-being. And this is going to include the following: testosterone regulation, growth hormone secretion, muscle paralysis that gives way to muscle benefits, heart rate variability benefits, penile and clitoral erections, protein synthesis, and immune system enhancement. In the previous episodes on REM sleep, I've spoken a lot about REM sleep for the brain, and we've spoken about things such as learning and memory, creativity, memory association. And then we've also spoken about how REM sleep provides a separate role as a form of overnight therapy, a form of emotional first aid. But now let's move south of the neck, as it were, and let's move into the body. And I'll start with testosterone release. In terms of a basic understanding, testosterone is a hormone, and it's essential for things like muscle mass, for bone density, and libido. And it peaks during sleep. But what many of you may not realize is that when it especially peaks in terms of its concentration is during, drumroll, REM sleep. Now, testosterone does follow a circadian rhythm, and sleep is crucial for that regulation component. And by the way, we often think of testosterone as principally a male hormone. And in terms of the amount of testosterone that is released and that circulates in the body, yes, males indeed have far more testosterone than females. But it turns out that females need testosterone also. It is critical for their sexual as well as physiological wellness. And testosterone matters because, as I mentioned, it supports muscle health and libido for both men and for women. And what we found is that a lack of REM sleep, either because you are getting inadequate amounts of that REM sleep, or we bring you into the lab and we selectively deprive you of REM sleep, this can impair the release of testosterone. And in terms of associational studies, that has resulted in muscle loss, reduced libido, as well as weaker bones. And in fact, there was a great study, I think it was in the Journal of Clinical Endocrinology and Metabolism. And what they had demonstrated is that sleep deprivation results in a significant impairment in testosterone. And it's not just that a lack of sleep will decrease the amount of testosterone, but even fragmented sleep. So not just me coming in there and depriving you of sleep or selectively removing certain types of sleep, but even just having lots of frequent awakenings at night that isn't good quality of sleep, above and beyond quantity of sleep, can also impair the release of testosterone. And as I think I've mentioned in previous podcasts, there's some great just landmark studies. Probably the most influential and seminal was that done by Ev Van Carter at the University of Chicago back in, I think it was 2000 or maybe 1999, showing that if you take a group of healthy young males and you limit them in terms of the amount of their sleep to maybe just 4 or 5 hours, which includes the compromising of the amount of REM sleep, after about 4 or 5 nights, they will have a level of testosterone which is that of someone about 10 years older than them. So it can age someone by a decade. And there have been follow-up studies by LaProult and colleagues in 2011, I think, that further demonstrated that testosterone impairment. So that's the first thing, testosterone, one of the hormones that we'll discuss. The second, that REM sleep is also crucial for, is growth hormone secretion. Growth hormone is primarily secreted during sleep, and it has its largest spikes during both non-REM sleep as well as REM sleep. Why is growth hormone important? Well, as you can probably tell by the name, it's responsible for critical aspects of tissue repair and also muscle growth. That's especially true after we have gone through physical exertion like exercise, or maybe you've suffered an injury. That's where growth hormone can really be crucial. So it's essential for all of us who are physically active. In fact, of course, it's important for lots of additional reasons, even if you're not physically active, but especially important if you are, and also for older adults, because that's where you need perhaps the essential lift of the growth hormone, but unfortunately it decreases year after year, and we think that growth hormone deficiencies significantly contribute to the aging process. A long-standing partner of today's podcast is Element, spelled LMNT. Element is a sugar-free electrolyte mix, and for me, it was the sugar-free part of that made me start using it quite some time ago. Beyond having the electrolytes in the right balance, the other reason I'm a fan of Element is that it's scientific. And if you look at the people who created the company, you'll find some pretty heavy-hitting physiology, biochemistry, and pharmacology knowledge that is baked into the product. And again, all of that comes without any sugar. I am a devotee of their product. I really do use them. I know people will say that on these ad reads. I use it every single day for my workout. I put it in my protein shakes afterwards. I do use it. Also, by the way, Element has just recently brought back the chocolate medley range, which you can have essentially your electrolytes hot. And in the trio of flavors, there is chocolate mint, chocolate chai, and also my favorite, chocolate raspberry. And by the way, I happily badgered them to agree to give you fine folks a free sample pack with any purchase of Element if you just use the link lmnt.com/Matt Walker. That's lmnt.com/Matt Walker. It's not just about the recovery. Growth hormone also helps regulate your metabolism, helps regulate your fat utilization, and therefore it beneficially contributes to weight management. And what we found is that sleep disruption or sleep disturbance, similar to that fragmentation, can significantly impair growth hormone secretion, and it will impact tissue repair and metabolism. And in fact, what we've found is that even alcohol consumption, which we know blocks rapid eye movement sleep and also disrupts deep non-REM sleep, but it especially impairs rapid eye movement sleep, that can lead to almost a 50% reduction in growth hormone across the night, particularly in the first half of the night. So that's the second of the two hormones. Am I starting to convince you that REM sleep is important for the body? Maybe not yet. So hang on. The next interesting feature that I've spoken about regarding dream sleep is muscle paralysis, or something that we call muscle atonia. Again, in medicine, usually the letter A defines the absence of something in the wording in medicine. So atonia simply means the absence of tone in the muscles. So when we go into REM sleep, your brain paralyzes your body. And we've often thought that that feature of REM sleep is designed to prevent people from physically acting out their dreams. But what are the other potential benefits of that muscle paralysis? Is it just about locking you down into a physical incarceration so that the dreamer remains safe? Well, perhaps not, because there are a growing number of studies that suggest that the sleep paralysis not only prevents the sleeper from injuring themselves, but also allows the muscles to fully relax. And when the muscles fully relax, it promotes recovery. But maybe you're asking, well, that sounds generic. In what ways does it promote recovery? There are several. In fact, there are at least 6 different ways that we think it can promote it. The first is enhanced blood flow, that the relaxation of the muscles causes vasodilation, which is just a fancy way of saying that your vessels expand, and then improves blood circulation to the muscles. The greater the circulation, the greater the delivery of essential nutrients and oxygen, as well as the removal of metabolic waste, like lactic acid. The second is reduced muscle tension. Inactivity lowers the muscle tone, and it will produce involuntary contractions. And this allows the muscles to sort of return to their resting length, and therefore it reduces joint stress. So the muscles will essentially stretch out and relax out because of that reduced muscle tension due to the paralysis of the muscles. The third component is that muscle relaxation has a knock-on effect to instigate the activity of what we call the parasympathetic nervous system. And the parasympathetic nervous system is the opposite of the fight or flight branch of your nervous system. And that paralysis produces a full relaxation trigger to the what we call the rest and digest response of the parasympathetic nervous system. And that lowers stress hormones like cortisol, decreases heart rate, and therefore can facilitate healing. So that's another way in which this relaxation response is beneficial. The fourth is that when you get muscle atonia, there is muscle repair and muscle growth. Rest periods, including this complete relaxation response, are crucial for muscle protein synthesis, and that enables the efficient repair and the growth of the muscle fibers. The fifth is inflammation control. Inactivity of the muscles helps regulate something called cytokines, which are essential ingredients of your immune system, and they can reduce excessive inflammation and therefore further promote recovery. The final one is a very interesting one, and it's a neurological hypothesis. And it is described, and we don't have too much data for this yet, but that the paralysis of REM sleep allows motor units within the muscles themselves and the neural pathways that innervate and stimulate and control the muscles. It allows them to recover from fatigue during the day. And by way of improving the fatigue, as a consequence, it improves coordination. And if you improve coordination, you reduce the risk of injury. Okay, time for some honesty. I've probably eaten more protein bars in my lifetime than I've actually blinked. They've been such a constant for me throughout my life. I recently found David protein bars, and it was my friend Dr. Peter Attia who raised awareness about David. He played a key role in the development of this really quite radical new protein bar. And just hearing it from Peter, knowing his standards, that's all I needed to at least consider making the switch. And then I read about the company. They are fantastic. The bars are built on a simple, groundbreaking concept: the fewest calories for the most amount of protein, period, ever. And each bar contains a wonderful 28 grams of protein at just 150 calories. They have 0 grams of sugar as well. That is the best protein to calorie ratio that has ever been seen in a protein bar. The taste, exceptional. I almost have to ration them. They're that good, because I could probably inhale about 10 of them in one go. Protein, of course, by the way, it's critical. It's not just for building and maintaining muscles. It's for managing metabolic health, helping you feel fuller for longer. And it's that unique ratio that I think makes David protein bars, just for me at least, the most satiating that I've also ever experienced. They are fantastic. They've got 6 incredible flavors. And here's a bonus. When you buy 4 cartons, you get a 5th entirely free. If protein bars are your thing, even if they're not your thing and you're considering them, just go on over to davidprotein.com/Matt Walker. That's davidprotein.com/Matt Walker, and you will get a wonderful experience in terms of that bonus. Okay, back to the show. Next up in the panoply of benefits of REM sleep for the body comes thermoregulation. This is one that you may not have thought about before. Thermoregulation, by the way, that's just the word that we use to describe the body's ability to maintain a stable internal temperature. And during REM sleep, this system actually temporarily shuts down, and your body becomes unable to regulate the temperature. And in fact, that's why whatever temperature sits around your body during REM sleep, your body will start to adopt. Whereas during other stages of sleep and when you're awake, you have thermoregulatory ability, and your body will maintain a stable temperature irrespective of the ambient temperature, as long as that ambient temperature isn't wildly hot or wildly cold. So why does this matter? Well, this thermoregulatory pause, we believe, conserves energy. And by conserving the energy, it allows the body's temperature control system to essentially have a reset. And there was some great research in the Journal of Applied Physiology that found that this temporary impairment may play a critical role in energy balance for the organism. So in other words, when we interrupt that thermoregulatory stability during REM sleep and we become thermo-unregulated, as it were, that provides this conservation benefit of energy, and that offers several different benefits. The next one up is something called increased heart rate variability. What we know is that heart rate variability, which refers to the variation in the time between heartbeats, is an essential measure of body health. And heart rate variability increases significantly during REM sleep. In fact, it's one of the most defining body features of REM sleep. You get these huge swings in the variation that your heart rate accelerates, and then it decelerates some more, and then it accelerates, and then it decelerates, and then it accelerates, and it stays accelerated, and then it decelerates. It's very unpredictable, very strange state of the body. But what we found is that higher heart rate variability, unlike a higher heart rate we typically don't think of as beneficial. Higher heart rate variability we do see is associated with, firstly, improved cardiovascular health, improved resilience to stress, and it also adapts what we call the autonomic nervous system, the nervous system that takes care of all the things that you don't think about having to control, like your respiration, your heart rate, and your digestion. And we believe that REM sleep provides the heart with almost this workout, this unpredictable workout of increasing variance and variability in heart rate. And there's some great studies that have found that heart rate variability not only increases during REM sleep, but it correlates significantly with improved cardiovascular benefits. But there are additional benefits that happen. One of them, as I said, is that the autonomic nervous system, this nervous system that takes care of all the things that you don't have to think about, the variability there enhances the adaptability of your autonomic nervous system, therefore making the automatic control of many of the automated systems of your body, as I said, like temperature regulation, heart rate, like respiration, like digestion, all of those things are better taken care of because the autonomic nervous system that controls them has this improved adaptability because of the heart rate variability increases during REM sleep. I know that's a mouthful, but essentially your automatic nervous system, the autonomic nervous system, gets a good thorough overhaul, and it's like the Wi-Fi router button is hit in terms of reset to overhaul the improved optimality of automation of all of your nervous system functions. The final thing I should note in regards to heart rate variability during REM sleep is that these fluctuations in heart rate influence the release of stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline. And that helps in stress regulation and also metabolic processes that are interactive with cortisol and adrenaline. So for, it must be at least a decade now, I have been an avid, probably more like rabid consumer of protein shakes. But the hard thing, honestly, in the supplement space, if you really understand and do your diligence, is this critical thing called trust. It is very hard to find a brand that you can truly trust. That's when I came across the company Puri and the really impressive founder. Even though I'm sure it makes them less profit versus other quick and loose companies, Puri takes quality more seriously than any company I've ever seen before. They have so many offerings, protein powders galore, but lots of other additions. But that's what I was focusing on here. Why did I choose them? Well, it's really for 4 specific reasons. Number 1, they are free from hormones. Number 2, they are free from GMOs. Number 3, they are free of any pesticides. And number 4, and this is the critical confidence part, every single batch is third-party tested for over 200 harmful contaminants, things like heavy metals, etc. All you have to do if you are a neurotic nerd like me, you can even scan the QRI code on the back of the product to get the third-party independent laboratory test results. That's how much trust and confidence they place in their product. By the way, if you want a recommendation, go for the dark chocolate flavored protein powder. It's just exceptional. In fact, it's wonderfully addictive. I didn't just say that. Anyway, it delivers 21 grams of protein per serving. And for folks of my podcast right now, you can save 20%. So go over to puri.com/Matt Walker, and that is spelled PUORI.com, Matt Walker. So again, that is PUORI.com/Matt Walker, and you will get 20% off your product. The next benefit of REM sleep downstairs in the body is a very unusual one. This comes on to penile and clitoral erections. During REM sleep exclusively, men will experience penile erections. We have a fancy word for it. It's called nocturnal penile tumescence. And women will also experience clitoral engorgement, in other words, enlargement of the clitoris. And these events are, it seems, unrelated to dream content, by the way. These things will happen no matter whether you are dreaming or you're not dreaming. As long as you're in REM sleep, I should say, they will happen no matter whether you're dreaming and no matter whether you're dreaming about things that would normally cause those changes. It's unrelated to that. But these nocturnal erections and the engorgement of the clitoris, we believe now helps maintain genital health. Why does it do that? Because it promotes blood flow and tissue oxygenation to those 2 areas of the male and female body. And in males, that helps with maintaining erectile function and the functioning of erections. And in women, that promotion of blood flow and tissue oxygenation helps with vaginal health. And indeed, it was all the way back in, I think it was 1970. I can't remember I'll blank it. I'm sure it'll come back to me during the podcast. They were the first people to discover these nocturnal erections, and more specifically, not just discover them, because I'm sure human society had long known about all of this before the scientists came along, but they were the team that made the connection between these nocturnal erections and their importance for sexual health. The final 2 things that we're going to discuss come on to protein synthesis and your immune system. In terms of protein synthesis, and by the way, I should explain what protein synthesis is. Protein synthesis is this wonderful biological process of building new proteins. No big surprise there. But that process is essential for lots of things, including your muscles. And it turns out that rates of protein synthesis rocket up during REM sleep. And that's why we believe REM sleep is especially important for muscle repair and muscle growth. And in fact, there have been several studies now that have demonstrated that the amount of REM sleep seems to predict this boost in protein synthesis within muscles specifically. And conversely, if you deprive organisms selectively of REM sleep, you can produce an impairment in that muscle protein synthesis. So it's not just correlational, it appears to be causal. In other words, REM sleep is not just essential for helping restore our muscle ability through things like growth hormone and testosterone, which we spoke about hormonally at the start of the show, but it's also critical when it comes to putting the building blocks together of the individual muscle molecules themselves, these particular proteins. The last thing that we've discovered is that REM sleep, but as well as non-REM sleep, I should note, both are important, but REM sleep is equally important here for your immune system. In fact, it's essential, and it promotes the production of immune cells and also cytokines, which are critical in fighting infections. What we've discovered is that selective loss of REM sleep can weaken the immune function and the immune system, making individuals more susceptible to illness. And there was a great set of studies, they were probably separated by about 10 years, one that showed that yes, REM sleep enhances immune responses by increasing what we call cytokine production. And these cytokines are an essential component of our defense system. But then a converse study showed that selective loss of REM sleep compromises immune function. And as a result, it left individuals far more vulnerable to pathogens. So that is quite, I hope, the Rolodex, the kaleidoscope of beautiful beneficial functions that REM sleep provides, not simply for your brain, but also for your body. REM sleep is not just the stage of vivid dreams. It is the cornerstone of our physical and mental well-being. And it's during this crucial sleep phase that essential processes like testosterone and growth hormone secretion occur, tissue repair, increases in muscle mass, metabolic health, not to mention the muscle paralysis that helps with muscle rest and muscle recovery. And then we've got other amazing things, changes in your cardiovascular system, in your heart rate variability. All of those things improve the automatic components of your nervous system, and they also regulate hormones that help with resilience during stressful situations. And we've seen that REM sleep is vital for reproductive health, not just by way of testosterone, but through penile and clitoral erections. And we've also seen that it improves protein synthesis, not to mention it boosts your immune system. My goodness, what more could you ask for? The Herculean width of the shoulders that REM sleep must have to carry all of those functions, I can only imagine, is biologically impressive. So next time, perhaps you are tempted to cut your sleep short, because don't forget, we get most of our REM sleep in the second half of the night, and especially in the last quarter of the night. Remember, your body's natural repair crew is counting on that REM sleep to keep you functioning at your best. And with that, I will simply say good night, successful REM sleep and dream sleep, and I will see you in the next episode. Take care and bye for now.